We often think of history as something neatly written down in textbooks, right? But sometimes, the truth is buried deep underground, just waiting to shock us. In this explainer, we're looking at a bizarre, honestly unsettling archaeological dig from Egypt. It's a story that starts with a grisly discovery and ends with a fascinating look at the brutal realities of ancient warfare. So, let's get our hands dirty and uncover exactly what happened here.
Okay, let's dive into this. 16. It seems like such an ordinary number, doesn't it? But I want you to transport yourself back to the year 2012. Imagine the scorching Egyptian sun beating down. You've got this dedicated team of archaeologists painstakingly brushing away centuries of dust at an ancient palace excavation site. And look, they aren't looking for anything terrifying. They're just doing their daily, meticulous work. But what they eventually pull from the dirt? Oh, it completely changes our entire understanding of ancient military practices. Because they didn't find 16 coins. They didn't find 16 clay pots. No, they found 16 severed human hands.
So, let's trace their exact steps. The team's expectations were entirely routine. They were actively digging for the usual artifacts. Old pottery, maybe a few ancient coins, or perhaps some gold jewelry if luck was really on their side. Standard palace excavation stuff. But then, an archaeologist, carefully brushing away a layer of dirt, just suddenly freezes. Sticking right out of the ground is a pale, undeniably human bone. Everything stops. The team immediately halts the wider dig to carefully clear the surrounding soil. When they uncover 2 human hands, well, they naturally assume a body has to be attached, right? So they expand the search, looking for the rest of the skeleton. But instead of a body, they uncover 3 large pits, deliberately sealed with dirt.
And inside those pits, the mystery deepens into something truly chilling. First off, get this. Every single one of the 16 hands was a right hand. There were literally 0 left hands found. Think about the statistical impossibility of that happening by chance. Second, they were unusually large, like much bigger than the average modern human hand. This clearly suggests they belonged to physically imposing men from a completely different era. And third, perhaps the most unsettling detail of the whole shebang, no bodies. No skulls, no femurs. Just 16 severed right hands, arranged neatly in the ground. Fingers pointing upward like strange, macabre plants taking root in the soil.
Now, as you can imagine, when a discovery this bizarre hits the public, the internet does exactly what the internet does best, and the theories come flooding in fast. We're talking ancient black magic, portals to another world, and, come on, no internet conspiracy theory is complete without offerings to aliens. People absolutely panicked and jumped to the most outrageous, supernatural conclusions possible.
But, the internet wanted a supernatural thriller, while science wanted data. Archaeologists totally bypassed the magical theories, the portals, and the aliens, and they took these bones directly to the lab for detailed osteological analysis. And the real explanation that came back turned out to be far more brutal, and honestly, so much more fascinating than any sci-fi movie plot.
The lab testing grounded this entire mystery firmly back into reality. The bones were accurately dated to be around 3,600 years old. That places them squarely in the era of the Hyksos, a powerful foreign dynasty believed to have originated from the region of modern-day Syria that successfully took control of parts of Egypt. So right off the bat, we aren't dealing with myths anymore. We're dealing with a very specific, politically volatile period in ancient Egyptian history. It was a time of intense invasion and fierce territorial control.
And that osteological analysis didn't just give us a date, it actually gave us a profile of the victims. The 16 right hands belonged to 16 different adult males. Furthermore, the testing indicated that these men all likely died around the exact same period. Now, this effectively rules out some random graveyard. It rules out accidents. When you have multiple large adult males all losing their right hands and dying at the same time during a period of foreign occupation, you're looking at a military context. You are looking at the direct aftermath of a battlefield.
But that still leaves us with the absolute most baffling question of all. Why only right hands? I mean, if this was just the chaotic aftermath of a battle, you'd expect a mix of body parts, right? Why this specific, calculated mutilation? Well, the archaeologists combed through the dirt of that palace site, but the soil had given up all its secrets. The answer to this question wasn't actually buried underground at all. To solve this giant puzzle, historians had to look up, and they had to look hundreds of miles away from the excavation site.
The undeniable smoking gun was actually found far to the south, carved right into the stone of the ancient temple of Medinet Habu in Luxor. On the walls of this magnificent temple, there are these elaborate ancient Egyptian reliefs. Think of them essentially as stone billboards, showing soldiers presenting severed right hands to royal officials. And right next to these carvings are hieroglyphs that translate to a pretty chilling metric. The number of enemies slain was determined by the count of their hands. This is the massive breakthrough. Archaeology isn't just about what you find in one single hole in the ground. It's about connecting the geographical dots across an entire ancient civilization.
And this brilliantly illustrates the dark logic of the ancient battlefield. In ancient Egypt, there were no dog tags or digital kill confirmations, right? To prove a successful defeat, a warrior needed undeniable physical evidence. The right hand symbolized the hand that wielded a weapon. By cutting off the right hand of a defeated enemy and bringing it back to the palace, the soldier provided undeniable, gruesome proof that he had successfully neutralized a weapon-wielding threat in combat.
Which brings us to the ultimate historical resolution here. The ancient military didn't just ask for these gruesome trophies, they actually incentivized them with the gold of valor. This was literal gold rewarded to ancient Egyptian soldiers for presenting the severed right hand of an enemy. So the ultimate takeaway? Those 16 hands found in the dirt weren't part of some bizarre supernatural ritual. They were cold, hard war trophies. Even 3,600 years ago, humanity was dealing with military bureaucracy, performance metrics, and undeniable proof of work. It was just, vastly more brutal.
The truth is often stranger, and definitely far more systematic than fiction. Now that is just one single mystery solved, but our archaeological journey is far from over. From a massive L-shaped underground structure recently detected by ground-penetrating radar near the Pyramids of Giza, to a child found buried wrapped in heavy chains in Europe, and even entire forgotten communities hidden beneath the shifting sands of the Saudi Arabian desert, history is still actively revealing its secrets. And we're going to apply this exact same structured analysis to all of these in our upcoming explainers.
Which really leaves us with this final provocative thought. What else has history tried to bury? Because every time we put a shovel in the ground, we risk completely rewriting the textbooks. If you enjoyed bringing structure to this ancient chaos as much as I did, and if you're fascinated by geopolitics, lost civilizations, and the incredible stories hidden just beneath our feet, please hit subscribe and drop a comment below. Let me know which of those upcoming mysteries you want us to tackle next. Keep questioning, keep learning, and let's keep digging deeper together here on this Explainer series. I'll see you next time.